Hello. Welcome to Record Time. Record Time is a weekly Akashic experience where we explore simple and mysterious themes through the lens of the Akashic Records. My name is Mina, and I'm happy to be here. Today, I would love to explore the topic of the unknown. So, you may have heard spiritual teachers or other people, I don't know, who advise you to trust the unknown. Just trust the unknown. Be comfortable in the discomfort of the uncertainty, right? To sit in that space of not knowing. And I say that all the time. So I'm one of those people, I guess. So I think that idea, that phrase, trust the unknown, it sounds so poetic. It's so beautiful. It's almost like enchanting, this idea, right? It's easy to romanticize that. Trust the unknown, right? It's like, just trust the unknown and it'll all be okay. But that is actually quite hard to do, I think, given that it takes time to build trust. Like, why should I trust the unknown? I literally don't know anything about it. Why would I trust the unknown? So, cultivating trust with the unknown takes time, and it takes practice. Practice is my favorite word. It takes practice. And so today I'd love to explore some practical ways that we can practice trusting the unknown. And yeah, so while I tune into that, that's the question that I'm going to pose to the Akashic Records. While I tune into that, feel free to take some time to ponder the question yourself, to relax, to let yourself connect to your own clarity, to breathe comfortably, and just let yourself receive. So, trusting the unknown. One way to think about it is as though you're doing a jigsaw puzzle. So it's like the picture I have in my head. So imagine you're about to start doing a puzzle and it's like 1,000-piece puzzle. It's big, it's got a gorgeous image, you're excited about it, you dump out all the pieces and you're like, oh my God, where do I begin? It's a huge task. It's like a big endeavor and you have to build it one piece at a time. And so there's a couple of different ways. There's many ways to start a puzzle. And if you're like me and you love a challenge and if you like to make things hard for no reason, you'll start the puzzle with a huge ego and be like, I'm going to do the hardest part of the puzzle first. And you'll just be sitting there turning over all the pieces, trying to find whatever the hardest section is. And if it was a landscape with a lot of trees and flowers and plants, and then a plain blue sky, I would start with a plain blue sky. And so that would be the hardest part because there's no differentiation. And so I'd be sitting there struggling, trying to do the hardest part first. And something to think about is that if you're doing a puzzle and you start with the hardest part, doing the hardest part first doesn't necessarily make the easy part of the puzzle easier. But if you start with the easiest part of the puzzle first, it makes the harder part less hard. So that was a lot of words. So let me explain what I mean. If you start with the hardest part of the puzzle, you'll eventually get to the easy part, right? If there's people and faces are always super easy in puzzles. So if you leave the faces for last, it's going to be super easy, but it would have been just as easy if you started with the faces, right? Having the hard part of the puzzle finished doesn't make doing the faces any easier because they were already easy. But if you start with the faces, and if you start with the edges of the puzzle, and then you start with the easiest part and then work your way up to like the second easiest part, the third easiest part, into like the more difficult parts, by the time you get to the hard part, it's not super hard. It's challenging, but it's not as difficult because there's so much context now and there's fewer pieces left to put into place. So the advice that's coming through, the perspective that's coming through, is when you're taking on this task, this huge endeavor of trying to cultivate trust in the unknown, start with the easy parts first. Start with the easiest pieces of this puzzle of the unknown first. And then over time, as you cultivate that trust, as you build the puzzle one piece at a time, by the time you get to the difficult part, it won't seem so difficult. And so, how do we start with the easiest part? What is the easy pieces of the puzzle of trust in the unknown? What might that look like? And so here's something to think about. Think about how you can play with uncertainty. Think about how you can play with the unknown. Make it as fun and lighthearted and easy and accessible as possible. And one simple way to do that is when you notice yourself worrying about something or feeling scared about something or really dreading something that has not happened yet, right? If you're like imagining it in your mind and you're like, oh, this is gonna suck, right? If you're like going to the dentist or something, I hate the dentist. If you're gonna go to the dentist and you're like, oh my God, this is gonna suck. It's gonna be so painful. It's always terrible. I don't like it. Whatever. The dentist is mean. I don't like the receptionist. Blah, blah, blah. Whatever. And you're imagining something based maybe on a past experience. But when you catch yourself doing something like that, this is a perfect time to like pull in the easy puzzle pieces of the unknown. But the trick is to notice that you're doing that. So if you can notice that you're doing that, you can pause and ask yourself, do I know that for sure? Do I know it's gonna suck? And you might think like, yeah, I'm like pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. And then you can ask yourself, but do you know it for sure? Like 100%? And then maybe you'll be like, okay, maybe there's like a 1% chance that it won't be like that. Maybe there's a 1% chance that I don't know it's going to be like that. And so that's where you pull in the unknown. And you can pull that unknown in because a lot of the times when we're trying to trust the unknown, it's when we're trying to do something scary and we're scared it's going to be bad. We're scared the unknown variable is going to be bad. But if you're going into something that you're pretty sure is bad, that's when the unknown is helpful. Because if you are wrong, right, if you don't know what's going to happen at the dentist, the unknown says maybe it won't be that bad. You don't know. You don't know. You don't know how it's going to be this time. Maybe the receptionist will be in a good mood. Maybe the dentist will have learned a new technique. Or maybe there won't be as much buildup or whatever, and it'll actually be really gentle. You don't know. And so it's in those moments when you're like 100% sure, you feel 100% sure you know something is going to go bad, see if you can catch yourself and create enough space to just be 99% sure. And let that 1% of playfulness, that 1% of not knowing, of unknown come in and give you 1% more peace than you had before. I hope that made sense. This is a really lighthearted way to engage with the unknown. And if you just start like this in this simple way, It'll get easier over time. So this is what I mean when I say start with the easy pieces first. When you're sure something is going to go bad, see if you can pull in that little voice of unknown, that playful kind of sparkle, and just hold on to that for a moment and see what peace it brings to you. Okay, that's where I'm going to leave you for today. I'd love to know your thoughts on this. How does this feel to you? Do you think this is something that you could practically put into play in your life? I'd love to know. And if you try it, please let me know. I'd love to hear all the wonderful ways that you've tried playing with the unknown. All right, and you can do that by leaving a comment or sending me a message. You can do that through my website. It's minaruchi.com. All right, I hope to talk to you soon. And until next time, I'm wishing you well. Namaste.